So we have to edit tonight. 2. Yay. And post and upload.
Yeah. Well, we'll do this and then we'll do that.
How's your voice?
I'm there.
Thunder only. That's a perfect song for this. In title alone, nothing else. Hey, welcome to another episode of the Matt and Fiona Show. Thanks so much for joining us. We trust that this will be a great episode that you'll love. And if you don't, I have nowhere for you to send hate mail, so it's fine. Because we don't read the comments. No, that's fine. All right, let's jump into a wonderful topic today that we're going to talk about. All about vision and outlining your vision and protecting your vision.
Yeah.
Because, you know, it doesn't matter if you grew up in church or you go to church or you read business books or you follow business influencers on the social medias or you're in a Facebook group with your neighbors. There's always somebody who touches on vision.
It's a popular word, yep.
Setting a vision and setting a course and creating a dream board or a vision
It's
board.
been a long time since I've heard about a dream board.
A dream board? We have someone in a Facebook group that I'm in who does retreats for dream boards.
Oh.
Honestly,
There are a lot worse things in life.
I want to make fun of it all the time, and yet we have a vision board over there.
Yes, we do.
And I don't have a problem with vision boards.
No.
Now, if you're working at McDonald's and on your vision board you have a Ferrari, I might question or encourage you to kind of use some baby steps. Maybe a Civic. Start with a Civic before you go to Ferrari.
You could have a long-term goal.
And again, I'm good with that. And if you're a hustler, I think about my friend, the kid.
Oh, yes.
The kid. He's the kind of kid who would work at McDonald's or maybe deliver pizza, put a Ferrari in a vision board and get it in like 3 years because he's a hustler in a good way. He works hard.
He works hard, yes, but
He's got it.
When you're young and you're going places, yes.
He's a visionary kid.
Yes.
You will get there.
But if you're our age, never mind.
Wow. We'll get there too, don't worry.
Yeah.
But
We're also, yeah.
essentially, what I wanted to dig into with this was the concept that having dreams, having plans, knowing where you're going is really important. But if you don't write it down,
Right.
you're not going to get there. If you can't do the simple act of writing it down, planning it out, having a plan of how you're going to get there. And, again, I'll go back to my background. I grew up in church. My dad has an awesome ministry for business people, and I've traveled with him not recently because of COVID and all that jazz. But heck, I was traveling with him before I met you.
Yeah, that's how we met, actually.
We would go into churches and he would preach on business principles. And one of the things that he would touch on, or that he does touch on, is vision.
Yes.
And in every meeting, he'd mention it. He'd quote the verse from Habakkuk of, since you write the vision, make it plain. And what you'd hear, and whether this happened in church, in these meetings, or whether it happened in countless of the business seminars that I've been to, countless of the webinars I've been onto,
right,
that are not religious or based in anything quote unquote biblical at all. They're strictly business things. this comes up all the time. But specifically because I traveled with my dad so much and had been in so many different churches, from the front, going through the seminar aspect of what he would teach, he'd mention it, like the vision, make it plain.
Yeah.
And we had a workbook that you could get that gave you a place to do it.
I was going to say, you had places to write it out.
And the number of people that would talk to me afterwards at the like the CD table or the product table or whatever, who would ask me questions and try to like book a one-on-one to get some counseling, some advice, and I'd always ask, "Let me see your notebook, the one that you got at the seminar."
Right.
And they'd be like, "Why do you need it back?" I'm like, "No. I'm curious what you put into it." And most people, if they were thinking, wouldn't give it to me. A couple would always be like, "Yeah, here you go." And I'd open it and I'd just, thumb through it real quick. There might be a couple doodles or like a note here or there, but you get to the section on vision and the section on dreams and goals and plans.
Right.
Blank every time. Because for whatever reason, that simple step of writing a vision or writing a plan out misses most people. I'm heavily involved in my industry.
Right.
And I do a show and I do a bunch of other stuff involved in the industry. And, the world I'm in that area is mostly small businesses.
Right.
It's mom and pop shops. There's not a ton of in one division that I operate. It's small business. And every time I meet people at a show or talking to them on my show or at an event, if we start talking business and not day to day, but like concepts and future and things, I'll ask people about their plans and their 5-year plans and their 10-year plans, and where they want to be and what they want their business to look like. And nobody, as a rule, nobody knows. Because they haven't done the simple step of writing out where they want to be and what they want to look like. And what they want
setting their goals.
Setting their goals.
Yes.
And it's frustrating me because it's such a simple thing to do. To sit down and do it. And I always wonder how much of that is because they don't know, which is possible.
Very much so.
They haven't thought that through. Which is another possibility. And again, I didn't go to business school, so I don't know. Maybe they teach this in business school, and maybe other people are like me and they haven't gone to business school. I don't know. I'm going to ask a couple people that have got MBAs.
Well, there you go.
To see. But I know it is part of a typical 5-year plan for business people. It just doesn't happen that often in real life. For most people. But the thing that I do wonder about is how often it's because somebody had a dream and they shared it with the wrong person.
Oh.
Because I think you can't talk about vision and dreams and goals and all those things without also recognizing that, let's be honest, not everyone is positive in your life. And anytime you bring that up, you're typically going to get pushback. And if you go around asking your friends which ones are positive in your life, you will get a very interesting response. But not everyone is positive in your life. And that can be as simple as they're not a positive influence. They're not an encourager. And that's okay. Like, not everybody is. It's cool.
No, right.
But when you go about sharing your goals, your dreams, your ambitions with people who are not invested in your success. And I don't mean necessarily fiscally. I mean people that aren't fully bought into for whatever reason, you succeeding.
Yeah.
And I think back to years ago, this was long before I met you.
Okay.
There was a gentleman that I knew. I didn't work for him. I kind of occasionally worked with him, but not for him.
Okay.
And I remember where I was. I remember who was in the room. I don't remember the dream or the vision or the goal, right? But something had come up and I shared. And he's a good friend of mine. Older than me, but a really good friend of mine. Had never been negative in my life.
Right.
And I shared a goal that I had. Again, I don't remember what it was.
Right.
And he shot it down.
Yeah.
Instantly.
I've had people do that to me too, yeah.
And like I'm a big boy. It didn't crush me. I wasn't broken. But it was impactful enough that I don't even remember what the goal was. Because one statement
But
from
you
him,
remember the moment.
I remember the moment that dream was crushed.
Yeah.
And I don't think he meant to do it. I don't think there was any malice in it.
Yeah.
But it's one of those things where I think of that every time I talk goals or plans, dreams, vision, like the vision for my life or our life.
Right.
Or for the business or the businesses now. I'm really cautious who I share them with.
That is a very valid point, yeah.
Even to the point of, and my vendors hate this, but I won't tell them anything either. Because I respectfully, I don't care what they think. Because typically they don't know me. They're not invested.
Yeah.
They're not anything. This kid that I mentioned earlier, that if he had a Ferrari on his dream board, he'll get it.
Right.
I went to visit him on the other day at a location, and we got talking about something, and he mentioned something to me, which I think I mentioned to you, about, and again, I'm not going to get into specifics, but essentially he said, you should take advantage of this opportunity. And it's just, it's not a specific opportunity, it's just a market reality opportunity. Yeah. And he's like, because you would be amazing at it.
Yeah.
And I walked away from that, not really thinking, I had not thought of going in that vein.
Right.
I don't know if I will go in that vein.
Right.
But I looked at it and went, this kid is a kid I would share my vision with.
Right.
Because, and again, we're friends, we're close.
He's an encourager.
But he is, and it's not blatant encouragement.
No.
It's not like cheerleading. Rah,
No.
You're awesome, you'll do it. He's got that sincerity.
Yeah.
Of encouragement. And I'd like to think that I'm that way with people too. That if you ask my opinion on something, I'll give you some feedback, but
right.
It will try to be constructive.
Right.
And I don't ever want to crush somebody's dream.
No.
And tell them they can't do that. I think it's really important that you guard your vision. The same way you guard your heart.
Yeah, absolutely.
Right? And that comes down to the kind of the last point that we should touch on, is that part of setting your vision, setting your goals, is knowing if you're doing them for you.
Well, before you say that, the only other thing that I want to add to that, when it comes to your vision, not only do you need to protect yourself from other people, sometimes you need to protect yourself from yourself. Because if you've set your vision out and you've made your plan, and all of a sudden you hit an obstacle course or an obstacle along the way, you need to be careful that doesn't put a hindrance to you or stop you when it shouldn't. Because sometimes difficulties can frustrate you to the point where you yourself, instead of overcoming the obstacle, you wind up giving up, backing down. So I just want to add that, because not only do we need to be careful about what other people say, sometimes we need to be careful about ourselves, because we ourselves can also, if we don't stay true to the vision that we want to carry out, we need to understand we're going to hit obstacles.
There will be speed bumps.
There's definitely going to be speed bumps. And although sometimes they may slow us down, if it's a vision that's worth carrying out, which is going to get into our next point, don't let those speed bumps halt you.
Yeah. It's so important, and I'm glad you brought that up, because if you protect your vision and your goals and, you know, your dreams and all these things, then the only person who's going to shoot them down is yourself. And, you know, again, some people have more self-confidence than others.
Right.
That's just a fact of the matter.
Right.
But if you can, again, and again, this is why we talk about writing them down.
Yeah.
Is if you can write down that vision of where you want to be and map out the steps it's going to take to get there.
Detail the vision.
Yep. Detail it out. Roadmap the thing.
Yes.
Like, that's what we do in business. That's what we do in, like, product development, anything like that. You build a roadmap.
Yeah.
You want to make this, you got to start here, and it's everything that it takes to get there.
Yeah.
And I don't think we do that often enough when we're working on our visions and when we're trying to set our goals. Because we just set lofty goals with no steps and no rewards as we make it there.
Yeah.
And that's the reward side is a whole other conversation, which maybe we'll get to if you like this one. But the last thing I want to touch on for a second is, are these goals selfish? And sometimes they are. Sometimes it is the Ferrari. Mine is not a Ferrari.
Neither's mine.
It's a Porsche. No. But this brings up multiple aspects of the selfishness side of it. Are your goals just for you? Are they for your family? Are they for your kids? Are they goals for your kids that are yours and not necessarily theirs?
Right.
Which can be a whole thing.
Yeah.
Are they godly? Are they biblical? Have you planned out or set a vision for your life that doesn't necessarily line up with God's vision for your life?
Yeah.
And we like to think that we're always in lockstep in that realm. And I'd argue a lot of times we're not.
Yeah.
If you look back to our episode from last week, we were talking about, how, waiting on things and waiting in life to have an opportunity or have something happen in your life that is happening to others.
Right.
And you haven't got there yet. That's the same with this.
Yeah.
Right? If you can have wonderful goals, but if they don't line up with, what God's will for your life is, one, you're never going to meet those goals.
Yeah.
You likely won't meet those goals. Now, God will also give you the desires of your heart. So sometimes it does, sometimes it does work out.
Right.
But if you're not actively seeking that out and trying to flesh that out and determine whether your goals line up with what God's plan for your life is and what His goals for you are, you run the potential of being very disappointed.
Not reaching them.
Well, and the worst part is, if you've set a vision for yourself, for your life, and it doesn't line up with God's will, because you didn't look, or you didn't ask, or you didn't try,
right?
To determine
or you didn't seek, you didn't.
Yeah. So you've set this vision out, and then you don't reach it. So who do you blame?
Oof.
Because you almost never blame you.
Right.
Because that's way too easy.
We've talked about that too.
We have. But you almost never blame you.
Yeah.
So you're likely going to, I don't know.
And sometimes you wind up blaming God. Yeah, you wind up blaming God.
You're going to blame God. You're going to blame your environment. You're going to blame your spouse. Yeah, I said it. Not you. You're adorable.
I know. Stand by you.
Oh, stand by your... No. You're going to blame someone. You're going to blame your environment. You're going to blame your friends.
You're going to blame the pandemic.
Yeah. You're going to blame whatever.
Yep.
And people fail. It happens. It's okay. I've failed countless times. It's okay.
And we pick ourselves up and we keep moving.
Yeah. I've got business ventures that suck.
And if we need to adjust, we adjust.
Pivot.
Yes, and if we need to pivot,
Like a Chesterfield in a stairway.
yeah, I went there too. But also, not only that, the other thing about it is, just to finish this up.
Yeah.
If your vision, seek it, see if it lines up with God's vision for your life. If it doesn't, pretty sure that God's vision for your life is so much better than you can imagine.
Yeah.
And what He has for you at the end of what His plan is going to be more than you could imagine. But, seek the vision, but seek it according to what God has for you. Get some scriptures to stand behind. Like every single year, we get scriptures. Sometimes they roll over, but we get scriptures for the year. We get a focus for the year of where we want to go and what we want to try to achieve. And we've got scriptures every single year that we stand on as a family. And they've shifted as we've shifted. But get your scriptures. Write this out. Some of them, and it's fun. I've found in our notebook, I'll go back to 2020 where I've seen notes of some of the things that we're standing for, believing for, visions of where we want to go.
That we've seen.
Ones we've seen come to pass, things that we've had to pivot with, and things we're still waiting on.
Yep.
Right? But, don't get discouraged by others. And if you do get discouraged, don't focus on what others said. Get back to the foundation of it.
Well, and that's such an important point, because if you get discouraged by others and you have nothing backing up why your vision is what it is, right?
Yeah.
Then you fall back on nothing, because there is nothing to fall back on.
There's no substance. There's no foundation to it.
If your vision lines up and your goals line up with the Word and what you believe God's will for your life is, then when somebody does call it out,
right?
Because it always happens. It will. It's fine.
Yeah.
When that does happen, all you have to do is go back to that, in our case, that board and that sheet with our vision and with our goals and with all our stuff on it. And we can go back to it and say, no. It says right here.
Write that vision, make it plain.
This is why we're doing this. This is what we're going for. This is how it lines up with what we believe God's vision for us is right now.
Yep.
And it becomes that very simple internal conversation of, oh, is that chucklehead over there who said something dumb to me? Does that outweigh the power?
Right.
And what's in the Word? Because it shouldn't.
No.
It doesn't.
No.
So once you can wrap your head around that, it's really simple to, and again, don't share it with people that aren't going to
encourage you, lift you up,
want you to succeed.
Yeah.
Right? I don't need encouragement. I don't need anything else. But I also am not going to
protect yourself.
Yeah. I'm not going to give it to somebody who's not going to be there for me. Yeah. And I think that's one of the things, and you can say all day long that you're doing it for accountability, and I'll disagree on that dramatically. If you want somebody to be accountable to, there are ways to do that.
Right.
Without laying all your cards on the table.
Yeah.
And hoping that they will just hold you accountable.
Yeah.
Because they're going to do a whole lot more than that. And typically not in a good vein.
Yeah.
So write your vision down, make it really clear, and protect the heck out of it.
Yeah. And pray over it. And go over those speed bumps.
Yeah. It's fun when you speed up for them too. I'm kidding.
He would say that.
Right? I don't do it in my truck anymore. Thank you so much for joining us. We are going to leave it there.
Yes.
If you want to connect with us, give us comments, give us feedback, all that jazz, you can hit us up at the Matt and Fiona Show. Not the, but online.
You'll figure it
Google,
out.
Facebook, YouTube,
Yeah,
all
you'll
that
figure it
jazz.
out.
At Matt and Fiona Show. Otherwise, you know how to find us because you're watching the stinking show.
Exactly.
So it's not that hard. Thank you so much. We'll see you next week.
Have a great week.
See ya.
Bye.